everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So I got quite a lot done since last time, but still working on the ocean. Got the bottom of the sailboat here, and there's going to be a bit of reflection in the water. Yeah, ocean's going to take me a little bit more time to finish up. I have been stitching already this morning. I've got 220 already completed, so yeah. If I put up a super impressive number, I did have quite a head start. And I'm hoping my light will last. Yeah, the clouds have been kind of rolling in and out today. It was very gray and blah this morning. And then they went away and it was nice blue sky, and then they kind of came back. So yeah, we'll see. Okay. I was just deciding if I was going to carry back up, but I think I'm going to work each row as I go instead of working down and all the way back up. And I'll start another thread. There's going to be a lot of threads, as you can see. There is a lot of this color here. And so, yeah. Goodness, there we go. I swear I do know how to stitch. So yeah, we are, now that it's spring, I feel safe to say that, because any little bits of snow that they're forecasting are like just a trace, and it's so warm that it won't stick. It'll probably melt before it hits the ground, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, now that it is spring, my husband listed our kiddo's truck for sale. We promised him we were going to see if we could sell it and get a gas vehicle for him, because it's a diesel, and yeah, can't drive that when it's super cold like it gets here. Right now it's not super cold, so we will see. But yeah, my husband was surprised. He listed it on the website like last night. Pardon me. And by this morning, he already had a couple of inquiries. So he said, yeah, I must have listed it at the right price then, because yeah, if it's too low, people wonder what's wrong with it, and obviously if it's too high, nobody's going to be interested. So yeah, gotta find that sweet spot. So we'll see. Yeah, there's one guy saying he's going to come from a few hours away. So my husband said, well, give me a call first, because I don't want you to make the trip out and it turns out we've already sold it, right? Yeah. And he had one guy who was, oh my gosh, so yeah, he was dealing with that. The guy wanted a vehicle report, but this is an old vehicle. It's only a 14-digit VIN, and they don't do it for anything less than 17 digits. And this guy just, wouldn't believe him, said, go to this website, use the live chat. Well, my husband did use the live chat, and nobody got back to him, but he checked, and it was right in their FAQ section that, yeah, if your VIN number is shorter than 17 digits, they can't do it. So, he sends back a screenshot for this guy that says, like, this is what the website you directed me to says, and, like, basically take it or leave it. Yeah. As I said, we're not desperate to sell. If it doesn't sell, we'll either try again next year, or my husband said he might just keep it for parts for the engine, and then we'll probably just get our kiddo a car for his grad gift. Either way, if we get him a gas vehicle, that'll be considered his graduation gift. He just won't know that. But figured, yeah, well, like I said, we'd see if there was any interest and if it would be worth it to sell it. Oh, there's a little knot in this, unfortunately. So I'm just going to do a pin stitch over here. Otherwise, the knot was going to be in the middle of the top leg, and that just would not work. Again, probably wouldn't be noticeable unless you were actually like running your fingers over the stitching, but I still don't want knots on the front. So yeah, you only want that when it's decorative knots, like French knots, but I don't do any projects that use those anymore. Yeah, I used to stitch from cross stitch kits more, and some of them did require them. Like there were some flowers and it would have the little decorative knots in the center parts of the flowers. I can't remember what they're called, but yeah. And I was terrible at them, and I often had to ask my sister to help me. So yeah, I now do full coverage, which only require full stitches, no half stitches, quarter stitches, any of that stuff. I prefer. It's all just full stitches. And that is my preferred way. So I'm going to carry this one back up a bit. Yeah, I kind of am cutting off here for a bit, just because, again, I don't want to be working over way too wide of an area. So I'm just kind of cutting it off. I'm going to sort of work out to, I think, column 6. Yeah. And then I will sort of keep filling in, and then I'll move the whole frame over after that has been filled in. So, but yeah, so kiddo has been driving for pretty much a year now. There hasn't been any incidents, knock on wood. So yeah, I am not surprised he didn't have much trouble learning, unlike me. He takes after his dad in that. So yeah, I did not learn to drive till I was pardon me, in my 20s, and yeah, I didn't get my license till I was 24. So oh. And then yeah, where I live, it had the graduated licensing, and you would have to take a second road test to be considered full-fledged driver. And I have test anxiety. I hate taking tests. So I figured, whatever, I'll just sort of eat the extra cost in the insurance. But it turned out, actually, because I had enough years of clean driving record, they considered me to be the same as if I had taken the second road test. And then now, they no longer require a second road test after you've been driving for 2 years, clean driving record. After you've taken your first road test and passed, they just automatically put you out of the graduated and as a full driver. So I'm like, haha, I waited them out. It only took me like 15 years, but I waited them out. So yeah. In the system, I'm not. It says it on my actual like physical license still, but when I get it renewed, which is this year, then it will no longer say GDL on it. So yeah. And actually, I contacted my insurance to let them know that I'm now considered full, and they said, yeah, your insurance is already as low as it will go. So yeah. But they said they're glad that they let them know, because they want their records to update, obviously, the most up-to-date information. So yeah, our insurance has been pretty good. I've been glad, because we used to live in BC, and we got hit head-on by someone who crossed over the center line because he was driving way too fast and he lost control. And so even though he was entirely at fault, you know, yeah, it was a big pain. We both had to get physiotherapy from soft tissue injuries, and you had to pay and save your receipts and then reimburse them, and it was a big pain. This place, they do direct billing, which is really nice. So yeah, when I got rear-ended, I think it's 3 years ago now, 2, 3, something like that. But anyway, when I got rear-ended and I had to go for treatments for mild whiplash. Yeah, it was really nice that I was able to just give them my insurance case number, and they just direct billed the insurance company. Same for like my rental car, and same for the repairs. So yeah, it was really nice. I really was happy with that. Yeah, we had a thing, I remember, when we lived in BC still. And at the time, my husband was looking into maybe starting his own business, just out of curiosity. And so he contacts the home insurance company to ask them, you know, like, if I were to start a business in my home, how would that affect my insurance, right? And she says, okay, let me put you on hold. So she puts him on hold. She comes back 5 minutes later. She's like, yeah, I just canceled your policy. He's like, excuse me? You know, she says, yeah, you said you're starting a business in your home and that we don't cover that, so we canceled your policy. He said, I was just asking for information if I were to start a business. Like, you can't ask questions? You guys just, like, are you serious? Like, what a wild overreaction, right? And so he manages to get transferred to a manager, and they said, yeah, okay, send us like in writing a letter that you will not be starting a business in your home, and we will, you know, we will reinstate your insurance policy. So he does, because of course, if other insurance companies find out that someone canceled your policy, getting insured is, you know, a nightmare. And so he goes and he gets them to reinstate it. He says, good. Goes and finds another one. We transfer over. And then they ask us, why are you leaving? My husband's like, are you serious? Like, you guys completely screwed us around, right? Just for asking a question. Like, I am sorry, that's wild. Like, how is that a way to do business that somebody can't even ask? If I need extra coverage, and you just go, yep, that's it, we cancel your policy. Like, I shouldn't have to walk on eggshells around you. Like, what the heck? So, yeah. We had a kerfuffle with them too, because when we first got our policy, they spelled our last name wrong. And so we had to, yeah, my husband had to get on the phone and stay on hold for like an hour, because he says, I definitely don't want one of those things that, you know, you've paid for insurance, but they get to say, well, technically it wasn't you that was insured because the name is spelled wrong and something happens, and then they don't have to pay because, you know, we've all heard the nightmare stories that they'll use any excuse they can not to honor a policy. There was one news story I read where the person, they paid the bill and they transposed the last two numbers. So instead of like, you know, and 73 cents, they accidentally paid and 37 cents. And then like something happened, their house burned down or whatever, and they had to make a claim on the insurance, and they went, well, you're not paid up, because they were off by like 40 something cents because of the mistake. And it's like, these guys have been buying insurance from you for years, and you're going to use that as an like, that's just, I'm sorry, that's lousy. Ugh. Well, fortunately, we do the direct bill with them. We don't have to pay the bill. They just, you know, directly take it from your account. And so there's never any worry about that. As long as there's money in the account to cover it, it is always up to date, because, yeah, like I said, you do not want that stress of having to worry that, yeah, it's not covered. Yeah, I can't remember. I think those people ended up taking them to court because it showed that there was the intent to pay and that it was just an honest error, and that, you know, it wasn't like the payment bounced. It was for, you know, less than 50 cents. And I think it was ruled in their favor. But, I mean, obviously that was a big hassle you do not want to go through. Like, as if you haven't been through enough if your house burns, right? Oh, whoops. Oh, that was only one strand was still threaded. I hate when that happens. Let's see if we can get this to, there we go. Smooth out without tying itself in knots, because unfortunately, that can tend to happen. Yeah, insurance for our kiddo driving is fairly expensive. It's almost $200 a month, but it will slowly start to go down as he, yeah, as he gets longer without incidents. Again, fingers crossed, but yeah, he's done good. So yeah, just I don't know, sometimes like they start driving at 16, that seems so young, you know. I said it's one of those cases you feel like you were more mature at that age than when your kid reaches that age. I guess because when you were that age, that's all the experience you have, right? When your kid reaches that age, you have, right, that many more years of experience, and you look back at yourself at that age and go, yeah, I thought I knew everything, but I didn't know anything. Yeah, like I said, you know, my kiddo just turned 17 last month. He's gonna be a legal adult in a year. Like, what? Yeah, and then my cousin says, you know, make sure he knows it's important to vote. I said, oh yeah, I know. He knows that. Yeah, he's come with us when we needed to vote since he was a baby, so. And I would explain to him what we were doing too. So, yeah. My parents didn't vote when I was a kid. And I admit, when I turned 18, I didn't vote at first, but yeah. A couple years later, I was like, you know what, I really should. So, yeah. I always vote now. Local elections, everything. Because they said, yeah, and voting for your city council and stuff is important for the things you want to see on a, you know, on a personal level, right? Changes can start there, so, yeah. Yeah, the last time I went to vote, I brought a bunch of stuff just in case, you know, and it turned out all we needed was our driver's license, but I brought our passports and, yeah, too, just in case, because, yeah. I didn't want to stand in line and then discover they'd decide you don't have enough ID, so, yeah. It's like the same thing, opened my son his first bank account last year, maybe the year before, yeah. And, you know, I brought everything, and they said, wow, you were really prepared. I said, well, you know, I didn't want to have to realize that I didn't have enough stuff to get it started. But yeah, it's nice because our bank does the student account, so they pay no fees until they turn 23. And if they are still in post-secondary education, past that age, if they bring in proof that they are still a student, then they will extend that no fee status, which is really cool. Yeah, I don't know if you have to be full-time or not, but yeah, I think they said if you're still taking courses in some kind of post-secondary institution, then they will. Well, I guess that's because they know getting you early, right, makes it easier, because yeah, people don't often change banks without a major reason, because it is a big pain, because usually you have a lot of direct deposit and direct billing set up, right? So yeah, getting that changed is a lot of hassle. We had to change banks when we moved here 2006, because at the time the bank we were using did not have a branch in the city we moved to, and they did get one here, build one here later, but by that point we had switched to a different bank, and yeah, like I said, it was so much hassle that we could not be bothered at that point to change it back. So yeah. Yeah, I've been seeing ads. There's one major bank right now doing a $1 million savings. So if you open a savings account with them, then you get entered to win. But I'm like, yeah, but the odds of actually winning that are pretty low, so yeah, I cannot be bothered. Would be nice, but I know after all that hassle, the chances of actually winning anything are pretty low, yeah. When I was a kid and we got I got my first bank account, they called it the Garfield or something, because it was like the Fat Cat account or something, and they gave you $5. Yeah. Which I know isn't a lot, but, you know, when you're a kid in the 80s, that was, yeah, you know, $5, woohoo. Yeah. Okay, this is not a very long piece. I think what I'm going to do is do all these, sort of go down and back up, and then do that other one right there. It's by itself. So that'll be sort of where this thread will run out in a convenient place, and then I'll start a new thread for these other scattered stitches around here. Yeah, often the length of the thread I have attached determines what I decide to do with it. Yeah, so I haven't reached the top of the flowers yet, because at the very bottom of this pass there's some pink flowers coming from the garden. So yeah, I'm not sure when I'm gonna reach those, although I did reach down close to where one of the leaves is gonna be. In fact, I kind of cut it off there at that point. Okay, sometimes these just, yeah, the way the two needles stick to each other, they both end up getting unthreaded sometimes. Okay. Yeah, so I went the other day to the grocery, just walked to grab, just needed a couple things. And yeah, I hurt my joints from carrying home 2 little salamis and bag of 5 green peppers and a box of frozen waffles. And yeah, I even split things up into 2 bags so that it would be evenly distributed. And so my neck was fine, because yeah, that's my problem, is if I carry everything on one side, my neck gets messed up. And I have to be careful with that because it gets messed up very easily. So I made sure to bring 2 bags and I divided it evenly, but it's still, my elbows and my shoulders were killing me by the time I got home. Even though it's not that far of a walk, it's only like 1 kilometer. And I said, okay, I give up. I think it's time for me to buy an old lady cart. Oh, yeah. So I've got one on order. Because, yeah, I don't want to drive my car when I only need 1 or 2 things. I'd rather walk when it's nice enough. That way, it kind of forces me to get my exercise too. And, yeah. Better for the environment and all that, but yeah, I gotta take care of my body, right? Yeah, and unfortunately, mine is just not good for the joint pain, so yeah. And there's part of me kind of going, well, but I still can carry it. And then I'm going, no, I shouldn't be hurting myself, you know, not when there's a solution. Yeah, like somebody said, maybe you're someone who can walk without a cane, but if you can walk better with one, just get one, you know? Don't suffer for no reason. Yeah. So I'm not at that point yet, but yeah, I've got to start being more careful. Because yeah, I had to stop carrying a purse years ago because it was messing up my neck, even though I tried not to carry too much in there. So now, yeah, I got a phone holder that has, or my phone case has some slots in it to stick cards, and so I just use that for my ID and credit cards, and yeah, that way I can slide it in my pocket. Yeah. And it sort of became this thing, like, if I had a purse, well, I might as well carry a bottle of water around in it. And then it was like, yeah, but then the weight adds up, right? Yeah. Next thing you know, you're carrying, 5 pounds on your shoulder. And as I could only carry it on the one side because, I don't know, for some reason the other shoulder, it would always fall off. I guess they're uneven. Yeah. It was just exacerbating any issues I already had with my neck, so stop doing that. Yeah, and I had to train myself to not sleep on my stomach too, because if I did, I could only turn my head this certain one way, and then it was stretching the neck out only one way, right? And yeah, it would I would suffer for it later. So you have to be careful to keep everything as even as possible, that it doesn't get pulled out of whack, because that hurts. Well, the sun came back out. That's nice. It's pretty depressing gray earlier. Okay, so I have a choice that I could either take this thread and sort of park it down here ready, or I can park it over to the right and carry it back up, which is what I think I'm going to do for now. And then later I will be using a different thread, but I'm going to sort of finish this section sort of out this way, and then I'll drop down and start the next sort of strip. Yeah, so I don't make predictions lately on where I think I'll be by the end of the month, because it was stressing me out, but I have to say this month is going quite well. I'm very happy. I think 37% is more than doable at this point, since I'm almost 36 and a half. Yeah, so put that there. Okay, go back up over a bit. Okay, back up to this corner here. Yeah, this way, like I said, this keeps me from having too many live needles at once. I have less problems with tangles, but then I can keep everything threaded so that it's faster to switch back and forth between colors, which is my preferred way. This one's not too long. Yeah, I'm going to use it for the 3 in a row and start another thread. love all these blues and greens here. It's very pretty. Yeah, saying that too can carry much weight. It kind of sucked because if I needed just milk, that wasn't something I could carry home. It was just too heavy. So, yeah, I already had to. The tap water here is pretty gross, so we use bottled and we buy the big jugs. And yeah, I had to switch to buying these ones that are half the size because, yeah, the 19-liter jugs weigh almost 40 pounds, and that was getting to be too much for me. Like, again, I could technically do it, but I'd hurt myself. So, yeah, I changed, and they sold only 11-liter ones at one place. So that's, I bought those and I refill them now. And yeah, my husband will still fill up the big 19-liter ones, and I get the little ones to hold us in between. Well, sort of, if he's already going to the Canadian Tire, they have a water machine there, so I send him with the big jugs to refill them. Yeah. Otherwise, I just refill the small ones at the grocery. Yeah, one grocery store that I go to, though, they got rid of the water machine during the pandemic, and they never brought it back. So, well, it was always breaking down, though. It was a big pain. Yeah. Half the time, you'd have to make a special stop just for water somewhere else because the machine would be broken again. So I think they just took it out, and then they never bothered to put it back because they didn't feel like dealing with the maintenance or something. At least that's my theory. Yeah. But yeah, we used to live way out of town, and we'd only go shopping to the grocery every 3 weeks because it was, 40 minutes each way away. And yeah, so we would go in and get 2 carts, and my husband's would be nothing but water jugs to be refilled and put back in the truck, while I would go around with the second cart to pick out the food. Yeah. Yeah, I was so organized then because, yeah, like I said, we lived way out in the middle of nowhere. There was a tiny little, like, convenience store, but everything cost, like 5 times as much. And so, yeah, I only ever went there if I absolutely had to. So, yeah, I had to plan ahead. We had a bigger fridge there, too. Yeah, we sold it with the house, and the one in this house is smaller. And they built the cupboard sort of custom around it, so I couldn't really replace it with a bigger one unless I was willing to tear out the cupboards. And I'm like, I don't really have enough cupboard space as it is, so yeah. I guess I will live with having a smaller fridge, but then the grocery store is, literally a 5-minute walk away. So it's really not that tough to restock when I need to. Okay, I think this one is done after this stitch. Yeah, to be careful because these 2 threads here are one number difference. One is 958 and one is 959. So I had to make sure I was careful that I grabbed the correct one. So my grid line serving as a cross check there. My goodness, blue sky, but that wind is picking up. Yeah, they do say we might be in for a trace of snow tonight, but just a trace. Yeah, I had one year, came up in my Facebook memories. It was like April 1st, and I came out to like, 3-4 inches of snow. I was like, okay, thanks a lot, nature, April Fool, right? Yeah, I am not a fan of April Fools. I think a lot of people use it as an excuse to be mean. Ugh. there was one I saw recently that some people were saying, oh, look, Supernatural is coming back for 16th season. And I'm like, guys, look at the date of the press release. And that, oh, yeah, April 1st. It's probably not real. They had one years ago claiming that they'd made a live action Legend of Zelda movie or something. And then, yeah, my husband was like, oh, really? And then it was like, oh, it's April 1st. Ah, you jerks. Yeah, got our hopes up for nothing. Oh gosh, there was one. My coworker said that his aunt got taken and that they said the school zoning had changed, and so that the school would have to be moved to match the zoning, and that they were going to actually like dig up the foundation, and move it. And she's like, why would they do that? It's such a waste of taxpayer money, and why not just redraw the lines to reflect where the schools are? And she was off on this rant, and nobody told her like all day. And then yeah, it was like at the end of the day, like, do you remember what day it is? And oh yeah, whoops. Or what was it? They had one saying that they were going to require licenses for all pets, including like fish, guinea pigs, and not just, dogs, cats, and that they would need to be registered. And people were freaking out, like, I have a bunch of minnows. I can't, register every single one of them. That's ridiculous. And then, yeah, no, it was April Fool's joke. Or there was one year they told people that because of an environmental initiative and Christmas lights using too much energy, that anyone who had Christmas lights up after a certain date were going to have to pay a fine of $1 per day per light. And people came home on their lunch hour and started taking their Christmas lights down, and then found out, yeah, it wasn't real. Or we have a parking structure downtown, and the city pretended they were going to demolish it, and they brought out like guys with, hard hats, reflective vests, bullhorns, and yeah, so there was people who like pulled their kids from school to come watch it, and then yeah, they did a countdown, and then April Fools. Oh. But yeah, I've seen some really mean ones that people have done, like pretending they were seriously ill, or that they were, getting divorced or something. And yeah, I'm like, that's going too far. That's mean. Yeah. Yeah, like one of my friends says the only kind of things they do to their kids is they say, oh, we made you some brownies. And then when the kids come to the table, there's construction paper E's, brown construction paper letter E's. She's like, but then we do have actual brownies for them, because yeah, that'd be kind of, too mean. So yeah, something silly like that. Yeah, the problem is some of these, they last for, months after. Sometimes people are still posting the link, and then it's like, guys, look at the date. It wasn't real. Yeah. Yeah, I used to, I would post a status that said, it's April Fool's Day, so don't believe anything you read or hear, including this. Yeah, because it's like from a movie that a guy, he said, everything I've ever told you is a complete and utter lie, including this. When the other guy says, I don't know what to believe, he says, oh, well, not me. Believe me. Yeah, there's a paradox for you. Ooh, pardon me. Ugh. So yeah, I decided I'm gonna go sort of about to here. This is sort of the bottom of the boat here. And I'm gonna just fill in from there, and then I will move the frame to work further over. So I could sort of keep going over to the right, but then I'd be starting to reach too far with my left arm, and yeah, bad things happen when I do that. Like I said, I have to be very careful. not to get things out of alignment, or it's very painful for me. Yeah, when I learned to stitch two-handed, I tried to learn to stitch with my dominant hand on top sometimes as well, so that I could sort of switch back and forth, but yeah, I could not do it. If I use my left hand below the fabric, I spend so much time searching for the right spot with it that I gave up. I need to have my dominant hand underneath, or I can't find the spot, which is funny because one of my friends who also stitches, she says she keeps her dominant hand on top. So yeah, interestingly, but I mean, I guess whatever works for you. Yeah. Yeah, so sort of right about here is where I'm going to stop spreading over towards the right and keep filling in downwards. Yeah, so that's what I usually do, is about 6 columns and then move my frame again. That's sort of what is comfortable for me to stitch. Like I said, my frame is bigger and I could probably stitch more like a dozen, but yeah, then again, I would be reaching so far with my left arm that I would be hurting myself. So it's better for me to just move the frame twice as often, but not give myself pain. Right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill in a bit more here. Pardon me. Because I want to be able to do sort of the whole line of one color at once. Have to switch less often. Okay, so do that one. To add another thread here. Doesn't have to be very long. Okay, I thought I'd lost a needle there, but no. It was just sort of stacked on top of another one on my needle minder so that two needles looked like one. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to be able to do this whole line of stitches in one go. So I wanted to be able to travel down and back up so that I could do the next row from the top as well. So that was why. Okay, I think I can get a couple more stitches with that. There's still a lot of this color to come, and much of it is in this area here. Yeah, generally don't railroad my stitches anymore, but towards the end the thread can get quite twisted, so I have to make sure that it lies down flat. Okay. Okay, make sure I'm in the right place. Yes, I could tell by what was part where I am. Plus, I can always count because I'm starting at row 200, so I can also check with my grid lines. Make sure that they match. Darn it. Okay, so I think I'm gonna come down to this corner here and work out a bit more. sorry, my lighting is very inconsistent this time because the clouds will not cooperate. Ooh. Hopefully it's good enough that you can see things clearly. I have my lamp on as well to help. Actually, I think I might be able to get more than one out of this. There's two more over here. And I think, yeah, I might as well use that there. And the other thread I can carry downwards to that big area there. Yeah, it's funny. I used to hate these sort of, I called them checkerboard sections because I was doing all of one color at once, but now I don't mind because it's almost like stripes of alternating colors, and actually I find it, now that I stitch this way instead of stitching all of one color before moving on to the next, I find it makes the counting easier, makes my work a little neater. And yeah, I find I make fewer mistakes this way. So, and even with the sort of stopping and switching, because I keep my needles threaded, it doesn't cost me as much time to be switching colors. Since I just park it, grab another one and stitch, and yeah, keeps things moving along. And yeah, I do love that there's no missing stitches to fill in later. I like when I've worked across a whole section like that. When it's done, it is done. Okay, so I haven't joined another thread up top of this color. Yes, because I planned earlier that I was going to carry it back up. So yeah, I kind of snake back and forth when it does these kind of diagonal sort of stripes like this. I can snake back and forth with one thread instead of having to juggle multiples. Holy moly, that wind is picking up like crazy out there. Yeah, when I lived in BC, it was like constant rain, and then here you had to get used to the wind and the dust out on the prairies. Yeah, when we first came out here, I remember being shocked how far you could see, because yeah, I grew up Vancouver Island, and yeah, it's very closed in, lots of very tall trees, and you cannot see for very long, very far. But here you can see for miles, or as the joke goes, that you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. see how far this one lasts. This is one I'm probably just going to park below and start another thread for the next run. So sometimes I snake the thread back and forth and sometimes I don't. Either one works. Just gonna unthread it because I'm gonna have to sort of fill in, yeah, all the way from the left before I get to that. So it'll be a while. Yeah, I had a feeling I had not left that threaded as it's quite short. Yeah, no point when the threads are under a certain length. Generally, it'll just get unthreaded by the time you get back to it, so. Sometimes I do if I know I'm going to be going right back to that thread right away, then even if it's short, I'll leave it. But generally, I won't. Okay. I think enough to do those, and that will be it. Okay. There's a lot of this color all scattered around, so it's okay to add more than one thread because they are going to get used up. this one be tied off. It's a really short one, so I'll start another thread down here. That's what I planned to do. Yeah, because there's quite a bit of it still in this area. Yeah, so we got a couple more stitches before this thread was done, which is always nice. I don't like wasting thread, so. Just gonna draw this one across the back. It's quite a dark color. Oops. There we go. Forgot I was in search mode. Oh yeah, this is the one that has the skinny knot in it. Oh, no, you're not gonna cooperate, are you? Well, that's annoying. Yeah. Okay, sometimes, yeah, it just does not want to work when there's other threads involved. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, yeah, I will actually tie this off and be done with it. Yeah, sometimes I can sort of, if the knot is really thin, I can make it work, but sometimes no. It just does not want to work with us, so yeah, time to cut that out. Okay, so since I'm going to unpark that, there's nothing there. I think that may be where I'm going to call it a day. Yeah, I'm going to unthread these, and I'm going to work sort of go back over into the left, work my way out again in the next bit. And but yeah, we did over 200 stitches today because I started at 220. We're at 425, so I did 225 on camera, which is pretty good. Quite happy with that. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to see you here next time. Thanks everyone. Bye.